How are you doing on your New Year's resolution? Are you already starting to falter on it a little bit? And are you telling yourself, it's no wonder, I always self-sabotage myself? Well, if that is you, please take a listen to this. Now, this video talks about all things about building your confidence, your identity, your mindset, all so that you can stop reacting to life and actually own your life. What does that mean exactly? Well, we react to life when we have poor habits, poor thought patterns, limiting beliefs. And when we can actually control those things, because they're ours, so we can control those, that allows us to stop reacting to whatever it is life is throwing at us and actually get ahead of it and own our life. So one way to do that is to me very important is to end this self-sabotage pattern. And yes, I said pattern because it is a pattern. So think about all the times that you have gotten really close on one of your goals. And you're like, wow, this time I'm going to get there. But then you're almost there and you start self-sabotaging. And then you put yourself right back to where you used to be. And sometimes even further behind, right? So you've got to be tired of it, right? Because I know back when I used to self-sabotage, I got pretty darn tired of it too. And so if you're doing it, you know what it is. We don't need to, talk about that too much. But what I do want to talk about now is how do we get over it? And so how we get over it, to me, are a few different things, okay? So one is, do you want to have the identity that you're somebody that self-sabotages? I'm sure you don't. And so even just thinking about that, what is the identity of a person who sets goals and reaches those goals? I'm sure right now somebody or some people are coming into your mind. Allow them to come into your mind, and not from a point of jealousy or even envy, but just sit there and see, what is it that you admire about them? And it might be they have that identity that they are capable, that they do what they say what they do. That builds confidence. So therefore, they're a confident person. So think about those things in your life. Are you having and holding the identity of a person who sets goals and reaches goals? But then also coupled with that, let's say your goal is to do whatever it is. What is the identity of that person living in that body? Hey, sorry to interrupt this video, but I want to tell you I am hosting a 90-minute webinar on this exact topic. So if you want to sign up and learn more about that, look in the description box below. All right. I heard a story, or I should say I read a story. I think it was from Brian Tracy in a book years ago. And there was this woman who wanted to be an author. And so, she tried all the time and she just never got it. So she finally hired a coach to help her become a published author. And so the person said, okay, well, tell me about your days. And she said, well, my average day is I get up and I get the kids off to school. I pack lunches. I make breakfast for the kids and the hubby, and I get everyone sent off for the day. I come in getting ready to sit down and write. And then I think, oh, what's for dinner tonight? So then I start to think about dinner. I go grocery shopping. And then the next thing I know, I throw in a load of laundry. And then by that time, the kids are getting off the bus, and I never had a moment to sit down and write. Well, the coach was listening and they said, okay. And then they finally said, you don't want to be a writer. You want to be a housewife. Well, the person was terribly, terribly offended. And she told him so. But the coach said, well, how else would I have come to that conclusion? You just told me about your typical day, your typical week. Nothing in there related to you sitting down and writing. You had the thought that you wanted to do it, but you never did it. You allowed everything else to get into the way. That's not the identity of a published author. A published author carves out time in their day to sit and to write. And so I just challenge you to think about that with you. What might you be doing? So therefore, what is the identity of what it is you want on the other side? And are you acting in that space? Because if not, that right there can be a huge help to stop the self-sabotaging, because you're already stepping into that body, right? And when I say body, I mean the persona, okay? So another concept that might help is to think about being loyal. Now, if you're somebody who's listening to this, and if you are a loyal person, and I'll just use a relationship as an example, but if you are in a committed partnership and you would never think twice about dating somebody else, you know what it means to be loyal. And the same can be true for you being loyal to you and loyal to your goal. So if you, I like to tell my clients this, and so when you were dating, free will, you go date whoever you want as many times as you want, 12 people in one day, doesn't matter. It's because you're single and you're free and you have the opportunity to do that. But then the moment you find somebody that you're like, oh, I kind of like this person, and you decide to be exclusive, you stop dating. Because dating does not mean you're being loyal to that person. When you make that commitment and you're loyal, you shut down the dating scene. And so is that a way to think about any self-sabotage that you used to do in your life, is to think about you being loyal to your goal and to yourself, really, quite honestly. So, and then the last thing that I want to share with you is patterns. Because if you think about everything that I've just talked about here, those are patterns. As human beings, we have patterns in our life. Just think about your typical day, what you might do. There's a pattern to that. You might drive to work the same way all the time. You might, when you get ready in the morning, you might have your same pattern of, do you brush your teeth? Do you get in the shower? Do you shower, then brush your teeth? What's your order of things? We all have patterns in our life because we find safety and comfort in that. So I wonder if you have been on a trajectory of self-sabotage, is it because it is all rooted in a pattern? But it's been something that you've been doing so long that you don't even realize that it's not a healthy pattern anymore, right? And so is there an opportunity for you to recognize that you get to 95% of your goal, you get 50% there, whatever it might be, and you get to a certain point, and then that's when the pattern starts, like, oh, well, I'm feeling pretty good. Like, let's use a weight loss goal. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not to my goal, but I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to reward myself. And then the rewarding yourself with food turns into pizza and ice cream. Well, first off, it's not a reward at all. But if that is a pattern that you have done, recognize that. Because to me, I like to say that patterns are one of those things that once you see them, you can't unsee them. So slow down enough to recognize the patterns that you have in your life. So I'm going to leave it at those 3 tips because I think when you really pay attention to even one of them, it's going to be effective, but yet when you can layer all of them. So in conclusion, it's very important if you face self-sabotage to end it now by recognizing what are your patterns and calling out your own BS on your patterns. And because once you see a pattern, you can't unsee it. The other thing is, if you are somebody who you do have loyalty running through your veins in any other area of your life, apply that loyalty to yourself, to your goal. View your goal as that mate that you are coupled up with, and you're not going to be disloyal to them. So why be disloyal to this goal, this dream that you have? And then the last thing, which I honestly think is probably one of the strongest, is that identity. What is that identity that you need to embody to step in to that goal that you ultimately want? But also, what is that identity of somebody who sets goals and reaches goals? All right. So I hope that was helpful. If so, I'm Connie Jo Holmes, and I do this work all the time with my clients as a hypnotherapist as well as a master life coach, and I can help you one-on-one as well. But I also want to tell you, I do have a 90-minute webinar that is coming up. So look in the description box for that, and it's all about how to break self-sabotage. All right. Thank you so much. Take care.